purpose, work begun. Co-author of a movement, not-for-profits game, teaching kids that self-belief can ease the pain. Every child deserves to face their fears with measured thinking, not just tears. She's planting seeds of strength in every mind. Paulette Harlem, leaving no child behind. When the storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present and your future too. So just stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? What would Walter do?
Yes.
I was having a lovely sing-song
I
there.
tell you, I'm always thankful to Mike for his genius at that stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Mike, as always.
Always.
So just before we start, I just would like you to know that my ego has got a bit of a problem today. So I'm only going to be answering to the word babe from any in future. And apparently I've become a babe magnet on TikTok, and they're all coming after me, and you know they don't want anything except me to be their friend. Very weird and strange, but hey, they're offering me 3,000, 5,000, 2,000. Charles said he'd do it for 50p. What does that tell you, really? But anyway, hello everyone, lovely to see you all. I am going to admit to having got a bit of painkiller inside me, so I am in a bit of a silly, happy, fun mood, so I apologize in advance.
We like that. No, we like that.
I was spatchcocked on Monday last week, and it was this time last week I was still in the recovery. So it took a long time, and even when they got me home, I didn't know what day it was. So it's been a fun week of pain and whatever.
Good drugs, Paula, is what it sounds like.
Good drugs, but Charles is being quite mean, and he's like only giving me what it says on the box, which I think is like the box is just saying this is what you could give her. But if she's in a lot of pain, you could give her more because you love her.
Yeah, well, you're not in a lot of pain. You just want more, so you can get to a bit more
happier place. Yeah. I want to be in less ouchy, more happy. So
yes.
I explained to him that it was in his interest, really, to just give me a bit more, and he said no. He's like, and then he said he's going to hide the drugs because he didn't trust me.
No,
he's only going up the village hall for 10 minutes. He's taking the bloody drugs in his back pocket. It's like, for God's sake, man.
No, we don't need you. You're happy enough. We don't need you any happier than you are. Yeah, we don't need you any more.
I'm trying hard. I woke up yesterday, made up, dressed up, not in pajamas, and said, right, this is it. New week, new beginning. It's a week today. And that's the thing I have to keep reminding myself. It is only a week today, and miracles don't happen overnight, I mean, if I just show you my hand, that's still from the cannula. So we had 3 goes to try and get the cannula in.
I'm not
so if you could imagine that that's the state of my hand, imagine the state of my leg and my hip and my groin. But we won't go into it. We'll just smile sweetly and say that as long as Annie calls me babe, everything is going to be fine.
I'm not calling you babe.
It might actually be sugar babe I need. I'm not
calling you any of those words. More chance of I call you Mrs. Hallam than
God. Honestly, it's just let's just
babe,
have some fun, because all it is, how ridiculous. But in my misery, I have laughed so much. I mean, I've got Dolly Parton following me. I've got this
is all on TikTok. TikTok, my friend.
TikTok.
It's not real.
Rubbish. It's unbelievable. These people are just pretending to be stars, and I'm Garth Brooks. I'm like, hello, Garth Brooks. He said, you don't know who I am, do you? I'm like, I'm
No.
really sorry, I don't know. So I'm busily typing on my other device, Garth Brooks. And I said, "Oh, you're married to Trisha whatever her name is." And he went, "Yes, yes, I am married. Yes." He said, "I wasn't looking for marriage. I was just wanting to say hi." I said, "Oh, well, hi to you then." He said, "What's your, I take it you're a fan of mine." I was like, "No, I didn't even know you were 2 minutes ago. I looked you up." And then he was all offended. And he said, "Everybody knows who Garth Brooks is. I'm one of the top country and western singers, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "No, you're not. You're a masquerading twit. Go away."
If it lost on me too, I won't have a clue that who celebrities are these days. I just
But
don't.
the thing is, as much as I am taking the pee out of it all, and it is very funny, today I had to do, I get a challenge every day on TikTok. Is the only reason I'm there is to build up some numbers for the books. So otherwise, believe me, I wouldn't bother. But there are people there who are genuine parents, genuine people who will see the books and buy them. So the only reason I'm there, I've done a whole show on the books. So they've got a whole, story about the books. So at least I've got that out there, and every other post is about the books. So they can't not know what I do. So this guy said, if you don't want the money for you, you could have the money for your charity. I said, "Well, that's very good of you. Why don't you just make a donation?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you could buy 1,000 books, or you could support children in Africa, or you could do this, you could do that."
They won't do
You don't need me. He said, I said, "You don't need me to tell you what to do with your money. If you got that much," I said, you can do good things with, a few quid." So he said, "So you don't want my money then?" So I was like, "No." No, no, I don't. And then he said, then the cheek of it, after having called me a babe, told me I look more like 41 than 61, then told me that he wanted me to have all this money. Then when we got into it, I said, "Look, I'm a married woman." He said, "But are you happy?" I said, "Yes, I'm happy. I'm a happily married woman." Then he said, "I don't want sex." I was like, "Is it, so 1 minute I'm a good looking 41-year-old, now you don't want sex with me? What's wrong with me?" "No, nothing's wrong with you. I'm just trying to tell you that I want this to be a platonic friendship." I said, go and join a friendship group." So anyway, from now on, I wish to be a Paulette Babe Hallam. And
I'm not calling you babe.
ID is changing, and this is all going to my head, and
I'm
joking completely. Believe me, this is hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And like I said, Charles is 50p a month, let alone 50p a week. So, and he's in charge of the pill, so he's it's not sharing. So what can I tell you?
Stop wasting time on TikTok. That's what you got to do.
Well, it was just to get the books out to a different forum. That was all really. But I do find it very funny. And I just wanted to say that, it does a lot for your confidence in one way because it's very funny. But in another way, God forbid you were low and you took any of it seriously. It'd be like, wow, bonkers. So yeah.
You see, like, you'd have to say yes to one of them to see what they're really on about.
No, I don't.
I think
I'd run a bloody mile.
Anyway, let's welcome our friends.
Let's welcome everybody. Yeah, who's probably finding my story about being
Mr. Calm. Mr. Calm says that you're on your way to becoming you're in the makings of a drug addict.
I am.
It's a bit late for Paulette though, but she's on the good drugs, not on.
Yeah, I'm a very nice drug addict.
Yeah, well, she normally goes to sleep when she has to hopefully when she has too many of them.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to be very careful about Lisa's room later because if it's longer than an hour, I'll be gone.
Mr. Cyrus, we see you. How are you doing? The one that's buying tea-related website domains. I think there was milk and two sugars.com the other day. It's just weird. Cyrus, you know what you're doing, so I'll leave that with you. Kimberly, how are you doing?
Yay!
How are you doing? That's a great topic. Yeah, no, we should get into it. And
we will.
Is that Cyrus again? Bill will hear before everyone. Okay, so there's Bill. I see Bill again. How you doing? Yes, so OMG indeed. You know, I'm exhausted though. I've been here since last night, so
It's because he's been spending so much time talking to his babe.
no, I'm doing. I've got a book to publish.
A book to publish,
Yeah.
and more than just a book to publish, you got plasterboards to put up.
Yeah. That's finally on its way. They came yesterday, so I've fixed all my nightmares in the house. So that's good. I just need to just finish off.
Isn't that wonderful feeling, eh?
The carpet blow is coming on Friday. That's the worries. Like, given the choice, I would just clear my diary and not do anything until Friday. That way I can put all my effort into the house, but I have to do. Yeah, I'll survive. I'll survive.
I know a song about that, but I'm not going to sing it because then they really will think I'm a druggie. Well, I am, but you know.
Yes. Anyway, now excited. Now, so our topic today.
This is such a juicy topic. It's juicy and it's not accusational. Number one, I want to make that clear that we are not accusing anyone. I did. Poor Charles. Everyone says poor Charles. It's quite funny, isn't it? The whole world walks around going, poor Charles. I think we should get T-shirts made, poor Charles, and my face on the back.
You can.
Poor Charles putting up with this, you know. But there you are. So, yeah, the reason I really wanted to talk about this, and it's important to me, not just because of the books, and obviously, you know, I've got the books here, and I'll just show you one, wave one at you, way. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because I was at my nephew's house, who's 4, and he wanted me to read a book about Little Red Tractor, and he knows every word, he recognizes the words, he follows along. Every night they read a book or 2, sometimes 3 if he can get away with it. And it reminds me so much of Ben. His mind, you know, asking questions about things on the page. You don't just read the book, you talk about things as well in between. And it was exactly the same. And he's small enough still at 4 to climb on your lap, give you a hug. And so this was a couple of weeks ago, and he literally said to me, he gave me a big hug, and he said, "Thank you for reading my stories." He said, "I love story time." And I thought, wow, you know, they're still doing it right. They're still doing it okay, the old-fashioned way, if you like. People go, well, you can go to Audible and whatever, but then you're not turning pages. And if you do audio books, that's fine. Listen to it in the car and things, or if you need to keep the kids occupied for a few minutes. But turning a page, sitting on a lap, is something special. Or sitting next to a child and talking, or a teacher talking to her class about a story and getting the children engaged in the story, and then they can't wait for the next chapter, is like gold dust. Because if you don't introduce children to books early, and I mean early, then what happens is they don't ever get interested in books. If they don't see you reading a book, then why would they read books? You know, it's like you emulate what you see. And I mean, we're a book loving family, so therefore there's books everywhere, and we're having to clear them out all the time. But Ben's going to come home in, you know, 3-4 months, and 3 months, and literally, I don't even want to think about how many books he's got and what he's going to do with them all. But I think the garage is going to take a bit of a beating. But you know, the point is, you know, he's got a learning mind, and that's partly down to the fact that we have really shown him the enjoyment you get from books. Not just buying books to learn, but books to enjoy, to read. So he was reading Tolkien in all the Hobbits and things when he was like 7, and just so loving this stuff, you know, like eating it up for breakfast. And I remember Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was like I think it was a box set of about 6 books, and he was like going through them, and I was thinking, well, are you actually reading them, or are you just like skimming them? And he's like, no, I read every word. Well, okay, all right. And he became the reader that I was, and I know that sounds really weird coming from perhaps someone you might not realize just how much I read, but I tend to go on to now Kindle Unlimited, because I get through so many books, and I don't want to keep having to find homes for them and get rid of them. And if I like a book, I buy the book and I keep the book, but I keep it on my Kindle now, as opposed to buying a book, keeping it on my shelf. So I know things have changed, but it's really about rewinding yourself back to remembering books being read to you. So before I start, I just want to take the time, and I hope you'll let me indulge myself for a second, because I just want to read to you. And I'm only going to read a prologue, but I think I want to read because I think it's important. And if I can do this, anybody can do this. So this is the start of the book. And it says, "Hi, I'm Water." Hello, I'm Water. I am actually a big, fat, squidgy heat bag in the shape of a potato. Like all well-dressed potatoes, I wear a smart jacket and a large pair of superhero shorts. I also have a big heart, a truckload of jokes, and long wiggly arms just perfect for hugging. Basically, I'm an amazing friend. I was made by a grandma who loves her grandson very much. I'm sort of saggy and not much of a looker, but Jack says I'm brilliant. I'm like a fluffy towel wrapped around you after a warm bath, or homemade biscuits straight out of the oven. Irresistibly ace, so Jack says. I'm just the normal kind of friend, really. Only I notice stuff, and I try to unscramble worries. So if you're fretting or confused, or even if you're just stabbed your toe on a piece of Lego, I'm here to unmuddle, do a hug, or say, let's smash this, because sometimes you just need a little help. And the last one is, "Hi, I'm Jack." This is me. I'm Jack. Tomorrow is the first day at my new school. My brain aches like too cold ice cream, which is what I told GP. She says not to worry. I'll have a whale of a time. That must be one of her special sayings. We call them her GPisms. Sometimes I don't understand half the things that the grown-ups say, but I do know that I'd be a bit scared to meet a whale on my first day at school. Do you get many of those there? 2 characters, Jack and Water, that are in our books. And when I say ours, they're mine, Charlotte's and Annie's, because Annie published them. Jack, subconscious mind. The mind that's confused, always running around, getting himself into trouble, making the wrong decisions. Should I stick my finger in the fire? Well, I think I'll give it a go. And then Water will go, no, 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 no. So Water is the conscious mind, the thinking mind, the mind that tells you to stop, think, put the flight, fright, freeze type action into your thought process. And to me, that has been the key to the success of the books, is that the parents start to understand that Jack and Water are one thing. They're the same thing. Jack and Water are just 2 different sides to the character. And children have never really understood mindset work or understood what it is. But it was my interest from so young, having gone through all the Carnegie work and the Napoleon Hill stuff. It was always about mindset. So when I came to write the books, I focused very much on how a child would think, how we could help a child think better, clearer, using breathing and slowing them down. So that's Jack on Water. You heard the way I speak, with intonation, with a bit of inflection, with a bit of love and a bit of just care. You're delivering the words with care. And I think that's part of this reading malarkey. You know, just reading a story. I did a post today and there was a father reading a book to a child, and I think he said something like, oh, Jenny was very excited about blah, blah. And she said, no, that's not right. It should be Jenny was really excited about. And it's so lovely how she corrects him, you know. And that's because she's been read to. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, when you're reading to kids, it can be the most fun time of the day. So the most important thing for me to say is that the kind of environment that we've created where reading has become the hardest option. Just think about it for a moment. A book asks for patience. A screen offers instant reward. A story unfolds slowly. A video delivers excitement in seconds. And when both are sitting side by side, is it any surprise which one gets chosen? But something important has been lost in this trade-off. Because when we read with our child, something else happens. They're not just learning words. They're not learning how to sit still and just be told. They're learning how to listen. Listening, I cannot give you. If you learn to listen, I mean really listen, that is a skill for life. For life. How to imagine something that isn't right there in front of you. You talk about this dragon, its breath, it's hot, and its mouth is so close to yours, you can smell its breath. But the fire that comes out of it when it's so angry is so hot, you can feel it standing miles away. That's such a great vivid picture that a child can create in their heads. And what I'm saying to people is, don't not give them that. Give them that. Because when they have to write stories in school, all they're going to do is duplicate their games. They don't know any stories. Or they'll duplicate a cartoon or something they've watched on television. I want them to have the imagination that a blank piece of paper goes, this is so exciting because I'm going to write about this or I'm going to write about that. You know, and they can't do that without feeding that imagination. So they're learning all the time you're talking to them, and they're taking everything in. And we live in a very fast paced world where it's very loud and it's very instantly rewarding. Books don't do that necessarily. They give it to you in bits. That's the whole point. You've got to turn the page to get to the next bit, you know, to see what happens. But if you're watching these 3 or 4 minute videos, it's over and done with and on to the next one. So it's about a change of telling them that the reward comes gradually as the book develops. And maybe it's more important that they're learning connection. They're learning about a voice, a pause, a question, the ability to listen, a shared moment of end of the day that says, this matters, you matter, our time. I think all those things are really important. So if we believe that matters, and I really think it does, not just because I'm an author, but because I really do believe this, then the question becomes back to us, how do we get it back? And the answer is both simple and hard. We don't need a new program. We don't need a new app. And we don't need to wait for schools to fix it. We need to change the default. We need to make reading the easier option, the happier choice, the one that the kid will choose. Sweets or strawberries? What would you prefer? The strawberries are really sweet. I think I'll go with strawberries. It makes a difference. Put a bit of ice cream on the side. Now the strawberries one. So we need to make reading the easier option. That might mean no screens in the bedroom. It might mean books within reach instead of devices. So a bedside table with books next to it or in it or under it, beside it, on the floor in a pile if needs be. And I think the part of routine, the child gets washed, bathed or whatever, they're into the pyjamas and it's story time. Go and say goodnights and we'll do story time. Change the default. The default settings can be changed. That's down to us. The night means no screens in the bedroom. No screens means no arguments in the bedroom because the screens stay in the lounge. And if there has to be an argument, it happens in the lounge because it's staying here. We're going to bed and we're going to read a book. And I know that there are more parents fighting with children on a daily basis about screens than anything else. Because ultimately, and I'll say this really clearly, ultimately we've allowed screens to monopolise their time, and now we need to take that back. And I know it's not going to be easy, but the screens don't go in the bedroom. And as soon as the screens don't go in the bedroom, what replaces the screens are these things. So it might mean the books, as I said, are within reach and the devices are not. It might mean choosing consciously to sit down for 10 minutes every night with your child and make that special time. Take it in turns, do it together, do voices if you can. I know Jay Pasquale has the most amazing voices in his head that he can do, but I can't do that. But I can have gruff daddy, and I can have happy mummy, especially the one that's today because my babe. But anyway, we won't go into that again. But it might mean occasionally that you have to put your foot down, and putting your foot down by saying to them, well, you've got sweets and I'm giving you strawberries. So come on, it's not like you're not getting anything. Let's try it. And do it one night and then do it the next night. And by day 3, day 4, the habit will start to form. 7 o'clock, screens off, and now it's our time. Or, 6 o'clock is dinner in the bar. And then once those pyjamas are on, 10 minutes of screen time, that's it, that's your lot, or whatever. Make a rule, make a boundary, and stick to it. Because children need boundaries. Children need rules. That's what they live by. And if you don't give them to them, you are asking for a problem. And I'll say that, hand on my heart. If you don't make those boundaries, it makes it almost impossible. Those screens are like magnetic to their hands, and you cannot separate them. And it's down to us to say, no, there's no screens in the bedroom. Or if that's where they play their games and whatever, no screens after whatever time. And then the screens or the devices or whatever they use, whether it's the controllers or whatever you need to take off them, has to stay in the lounge. So there is no blame here except on social media companies and the gaming companies who have made these damn things addictive, right? But it's also down to us a little bit because we lost our way. Because the kids were so happy, we didn't want to stop them being happy. Why would you stop your child being happy? But actually, we should have done. And we've missed the beat on that one. But we can get it back. So let's work on that. Finally, in the bedroom situation, if we can make the bedroom a calm place, I'm not sort of trying to make it into a sanctuary. I'm not trying to make it into a chill room. But if you make that bedroom somewhere where it's bedtime, it's story time, and then it's sleeping time, it sort of sets the child up for this routine of this is happening, that's happening, and that's happening. They understand what's going to happen. They follow that pattern. I think that it's really quite easy to do that switch over. I think you'd be incredibly surprised how easy it is when they really start to enjoy the books. I know it's letting go. I know letting go is difficult. It's one of the hardest things we do, whether it's letting go of a person or letting go of a object. Letting go is difficult. And I'm sure when I come off my happy pills for my pain, it's going to be hard to say let go of those too, Michael. But you're right. But I think we have to do the right thing by them, which is give them the chance to really enjoy what other option there is, which would be, you've had your sweets, this is strawberries and ice cream, come enjoy it. So because somewhere along the way some parents have stopped reading aloud, and not because they didn't care or they didn't want to, they might have been tired, they may have had a hard day, their kids
We've lost Paulette. Where have we lost you, Paulette?
I'm still here.
We've lost your picture. I don't know why.
Okay, let's see what happened there then. Hang on a moment. I'm
Yes.
back in
Has your device gone to sleep? Anyway, what Paulette sorts herself out. I see many more amazing people are here. Jay, welcome. It was great to see you. AI has been a factor in kids not reading or parents not reading to kids. Well, I think tech in general is part of the problem. Paulette, I saw you. What's happened to you?
I was here.
When you're in the waiting area, I can see your picture, but when okay, she's gone again. Right. No, she's still here. Paulette? No. Anyway, I think I think it's tech in general, not just AI, right? Tech plays a big part, in what we do. So I will turn the tables on Paulette when she comes back. Dr. Jagadish, welcome as well. Great to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. Glad you're here. amazing storyteller himself, storyteller supreme, Jay. So, wow, I need Paulette. Oh, I need Paulette to read me a bit. Jay, you have to join the queue with the tiki-toki people. They're all kind of pulling on Babe here to be the sugar baby, and they're willing to pay her money, Jay. Yes, you got that voice. I agree. I did say that on my YouTube. While sitting there, I see why your tiki-toki friends want your story to your soothing voice, Paulette. So yeah. Anyway, you're never gonna live it down. So I do have a couple of Jay. I think Jay's point, blaming it on tech. I blame it on tech. He blames it on AI, right?
Well, it's both. It's both, and it's all, and it's
Yeah.
also partly. I never wanted to come on and be playing the blame game, so I didn't do that. I've not said it's anybody's fault, but I will say this: when we're tired and we are a little bit irritable, which of course I'm not at the minute because nothing bothers me. But when you are a bit irritable and a bit tired and life gets you down and your kids happily playing their gadget, and you might just think, oh, do you know what? They'll go to bed soon, whatever. The boundaries just start to just erode and disappear. And it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that reading to your children is such a missed opportunity that you will regret forever. Not just because of that bond, not just because of that special time, but because it's something they'll never forget. And they'll want to buy the books. I had a book that I had for Ben was called Guess How Much I Love You. And I love you this much, and it's got your arms are outstretched, and he's still got it. All right, he wouldn't let me give it away to the charity when I was collecting all the books up for the comfort cases. It was like, I think we'll just keep that one, Mum, but I'll keep it in my pants drawer. And I was like, that's a bit weird. It's like, no, it's not weird. It's just somewhere to hide it because I don't want anyone else to see it. It's like, well, who else is coming in your bedroom? He said, who knows? But I want to see that book. I'm like, okay. That was his 4-year-old favourite book in the world, that Guess How Much I Love You book. And that you can understand why, because it made him feel really special, And I think that that's part of what we're really talking about, It's getting them to love reading, getting them to love the word.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it. Got rid of it that time. There's a
Yeah.
phone call coming in. That's what's
That's
causing
what
my
it is.
problem.
No, Sarah says
So
turn the
the
lights.
key thing here is for me to stress. It doesn't have to be every night. So I don't want to start you off going, yeah, you want me to do this 7 nights a week. This is a nightmare, right? It's really not about me telling you that you can or you can't have this, or you can or you can't do that. This is just guidance. This is suggestion, right? But it hasn't got to be every night. If it's going from a situation where you are doing, maybe, for argument's sake, no reading to 7 nights a week is too much for you, well, go for 3, go for 4, go for 2, but start, right? Just wean them off gently if you need to. I mean, cold turkey, I'm not looking forward to that. But I'm hoping that they'll wean me off, right? So the same thing applies, really, that just give them, okay, look, if you're not going to make you give up your gadgets completely yet, 2 nights a week you can have your gadgets, 5 nights for reading or whatever. Work up to it. Come to an arrangement where they gradually start to leave. And if you make that reading time so special, you know what? You'll be the strawberries and cream, and they'll be the sweeties can stay in the lounge. Just think about that. You can make that difference.
You
And
certainly
the other
can.
thing is, it hasn't got to be for an hour. It can be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Just show up
books,
and have a book.
like this, will take probably hour and 20 to read, hour and a half. So you might do that over, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, you might do that over 4 or 5 nights. Make it a week. Drag it out, whatever. I know a headmaster made it 3 assemblies. New School and Eagles had a headmaster, and he read the book out over 3 assemblies. And on the final assembly, he had teachers at each of the exits with a big pile of water cards, and he handed them out to the children so they could go. And the next lesson, he gave them free to colour their water cards. So every single child had their unique own water card to carry. And if you don't know what a water card is, it's the card that you have in your pocket when you go to school, because water's in your heart. You can't carry a water with you in terms of a physical object.
You
You
could.
carry a
But
small
you want
little
the water
card,
there.
and
What's
the
the water
card
there?
says on it, I've got to take my glasses off because it's very small writing. It
What
says,
happened
be
to the
brave, be strong, don't
Now
leave coming home too long. And
I
on
like
the reverse side, it
now
says,
you can't hear me.
water wishes and hopes you are happy and worry free. But if you are worried about something, water says, talk to someone you can trust. And if you are unsure what to do to help yourself, always ask, what would water do? Now, box breathing, what would is the box breathing water do? It's giving the child time to think, I've got a problem, I need to think, how do I get out of it? And that is why we had the water card. And I'm thinking of getting t-shirts made so that children can have their own water, but they can sleep with it, they can cuddle it, because it will be themselves and it will be on their t-shirt. And then that's different to me making a toy that some children can have and some children can't, because I can't bear that.
It's a
But I
big
think
bag.
a t-shirt everybody can run to if we get the price right and we order enough. So I'm just on that thinking stage at the moment, and that was something that came to me in one of my drugged up moments that Michael keeps mentioning. So back to where I was getting to. So yeah, so listening. If you can teach listening, even my training for Dale Carnegie, and I was training people, I used to find that people could not. I've got background noise. Any? Is that okay? I don't know what it is.
I can't hear background noise.
Oh, okay. There's like someone talking in the background, but anyway, we'll just ignore it.
But you can hear me now. You can
I
hear
can
me.
hear you. Yeah, I
You
can hear
couldn't for a
you.
long time. That's why I had to restart my
Oh, you too. Is that why you jumped to that side?
yeah.
Fun, this, isn't it? But it's like playing flip a coin. So when you learn to listen, this is really important. When you learn to listen, you learn lots of things that you don't realize you've learned for the future. So we usually listen with about 40% of our hearing. Somebody who's fully has the full capability of hearing, we usually listen with about 40%. What does that mean? That means that we listen to every few words. We don't take it all in, right? That's why sometimes you go, come again? Can you just tell me that again? Because actually your mind has wandered over there, and your mind has wandered over there, and you might have this in your other hand doing that, and you're not really paying full attention. When you're just you and them in the bedroom reading, it's the listening time. And then when you grow up and you get a partner and they say to you, are you listening to me? That's the moment when you'll remember, right? You don't listen, right? Every single man has heard those words. Are you actually listening to me? Right? Because they've got the football going on the telly. They've got one eye on the football. They've got one eye on their phone or whatever, and they're giving you like 10% of whatever it is. So they're only tuning in to 10%. Listening is true, fact, 100% fact. And women are as bad. You know, you're thinking about, you know, doing all these other chores, job things you got to do, things you got to order. I must order that birthday card. I must get those flowers for so-and-so. I must do something. And you're wanting to say to me, look, can we have a serious, like, sit down conversation about the amount of drugs you're taking, or about the or about something as simple as, we've got to look at the expenditure for the month because things are that bit more expensive. We've got to cut our cloth, right? And I'm not listening. I'm like, I'm on tiki-taki, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I've got 101 things going on. And this is where listening, the art of listening, when you're in front of a customer, you and the customer is talking to you, having the art of taking in everything they say and being able to understand what their wants and needs are means that you can deliver on what their wants and needs are because you paid attention. You were able to listen. So you start teaching children at 3 and 4 to really listen, or even 2, they are starting to learn to use their full capability of listening. And that means that as they get older, that listening skill will be honed into work, honed into relationships. Yeah, they're still getting to arguments about, you know, watching the telly and doing this and doing that. I've got a friend of mine who danced naked in front of the television while the FA Cup final was on, and she was offering all kinds of sexual favours. And my friend said to me, my husband said to her, could you just go and put your dressing gown on? You're distracting me. I'm trying to watch football. And she was like, I'll do better than that. I'm going to get dressed and I'm leaving. I'm going out. I'll come back in a few hours. She was fuming because, you know, it had been she seemed it like been every night. It was the end of the season and everyone was trying to work out where they were going to be. And he watched every match. There was football on almost every night. And she'd had enough of it. So she decided to take drastic action. And that drastic action was to dance naked. But anyway, it didn't work. She got told to get dressed because he wanted to watch the football. My friend was not impressed. But the listening skill is so important for life. And if we teach it young enough, they will be able to understand and switch it on. Now it's my listening time. Now I really have to focus because I want to know what happens in the story because I'm really, you know, interested in it. I mean, somebody once said to me they would like to hear me read the telephone directory. And I was like, what do you mean you'd like to hear me read the telephone directory? Oh, your voice is so soothing. I'd like to hear you read the telephone directory. And I was like, okay. That's a bit like saying Nigella Lawson can boil an egg and we'd all be excited. Come on, guys, really. It's a voice, that's all. But the point we're getting at is this listening ability is so important. That follows with language. When language grows, vocabulary grows, imagination grows, imagination stretches. Where attention is trained, the focus, and then relationships are quietly being built that are deeper, stronger, more meaningful than you ever realized. I think perhaps the real question is whether or not children want to read. And it's a big one, right? It's a big one. And this is what I say. When we're choosing in that moment, we have got the option to shape the child to want to read. We have that opportunity to do that. And if we don't do it, I think it's not a lost cause. Children get on with life and eventually catch up. They all eventually do. But will they have learnt to listen? Will they have been learnt to have that ability to really focus and concentrate? I don't know. But I really think that time is so special. And if we're really honest with ourselves, if we truly believe that books matter, and I know I do, and I know Annie does, that maybe the change doesn't start with children. Maybe actually it starts with us.
Mm.
The decision, tonight or tomorrow, or sometime this week, to redeem a child, a chair, and a book, because that's how it all starts. Changing a habit.
See, I think there are two things, Paulette, that we have to face up to.
Okay.
The first thing is the tech thing won't go away. The genie is out of the box. Alavid, I see you. I'll come to you in a second. How are you doing? Glad you're here.
Thank you for coming.
Linda, I see you as well. Late. You're never late. And as long as I say we appreciate every minute you spend with us, you're never late. I don't know who LinkedIn user is. I can't see you on my LinkedIn, so I can't tell. I don't know who it
Could
is.
be. Is it Annie sometimes?
It could be. I think Annie's having another cataract operation, so I don't know whether
Oh,
she's.
maybe not then.
Might be somewhere else. Anyway, the two things I can see, Paulette, is that the tech genie's out the bag. It's out the box. Given that schools are now even defaulting to tech to teach kids with no AI can teach the kids. Who needs teachers? Who needs books? And given that the kids have homework, when I was at school, everything was about your textbooks. Remember, the kids don't get textbooks these days. Ridiculous. That's number
I
one.
think, yeah, that's definitely a problem. Yeah.
Number two, many parents don't read themselves. They haven't got books in their house to read. I think that is such a big issue. I don't know. Maybe you have some ideas how we can begin to change that. Really,
I do. I have a very huge idea.
go for it.
Every child brings home a reading book from school. Still, every single child brings home a reading book. I have a reading bag, and they bring home a reading book every single week. And it's their job to keep reading that book during the week, and they're supposed to be reading it with their parents. Not necessarily being read to, but reading to you, or a bit of both, or whatever, helping them with words they struggle with.
Mm.
It still requires time. So again, if that child isn't being given that support, then that you're relying on the education system, the teachers, to do that work. And the teachers don't have the time to give every single child that kind of support. And so we really need to, I really believe that it's not just about reading. I know reading is such an important part of what we're talking about today, but it's reading, it's listening, it's focusing, it's sitting still and really being engaged with something that isn't electronic. It's
Yeah.
made of paper. I think there's something about turning the next page and seeing something, finding it funny and laughing. um I think
It's been present, with your child,
it
really.
is, and it's wanting. And like I said, even if you just say 1 day a week initially, then 2 days, and you wean your kid in, that's a start. You haven't got to go cold turkey on them. Like, that's it, device stays in here. Come on, we're going to bed, got to read a book. I don't want to read a book. There'll be a fight in the bedroom, tempers are raised, and the whole quiet thing that I talked about, the settling down and reading, and it's all going to be a lovely, happy set. You're pretty much at fisticuffs. I don't want to encourage that. I do want to encourage no devices in the bedroom. I do want to encourage leaving the devices here and letting that place be the quiet. That's the place I sleep. That's the place of, if I get up in the morning and I run down and get my iPad or whatever and my gizmo, and I run back up to the bedroom and have an hour before mum and dad wake up, that's down to me. But if I am not disturbing them before the alarm goes off, They won't mind. But the point is that time at night should be, it's like downtime. And it really is like, imagine being days at the top of the hill and the end of their days at the valley at the bottom. And we have to take them there. You know, the bath time routine or the shower or whatever it is, and the getting dry and putting the clean jammies on, and you know, all that stuff. This is when you really understand, for me, how a child gets to relate to stories, relate to words, relate to things and circumstances. So when it's their turn to write a story in class, they're full of ideas. But if they're not really talked to and shown books and shown interest, they're going to write a story that's very, very similar to a game they play. Or they're going to write a story about their favourite television show or something. It's not going to be far off it. And it's down to us to say, right, we are going to change it. Even if it is one day a week. Let's start.
Yeah,
I rest my case, Your Honour.
I
Just call me
agree.
babe.
I'm not calling you babe. Well, let's welcome. Glad you're here. So Marsha says that she is taking her son. We're about to going to drop off her son. He was listening to you, Paulette. Thank goodness, he's not on TikTok and listening from there. The TikTok star Paulette now. So Linda said, my husband and I, read to our children every day when they were little. I think again that brings that just that sentence alone brings up a question, Paulette. But we'll talk to Alavine first, then I'll come back to you about. I think we use age as an excuse, as a crutch. Now, when they're babies, we know to read to them. As long as they can hold a device, we run away and say our job is done.
Babies can now flick on a screen,
Mm.
wedged in their pram. They're flicking screens
Yeah,
at 6 months old. There was a
yeah.
program on it the other week on television. I was like, oh my gosh,
Anyway.
6 months old. And the parents were like, have you seen our child? We've got a prodigy, a genius. I'm like,
It may,
no,
it may well be. It may
no.
well be. It may well be. We can't. We can't tell.
Well, what we can do is say that we don't necessarily encourage 6-month-old babies needing to be given a different kind of dummy, i.e., a device.
It was what we do every day. Sadly, and Linda's saying that reading to her kids helped spark their imagination,
Yep,
and before long, they were creating their own stories whilst holding on to one of our books in their hands. That's
exactly.
what we're talking about today, really, Linda.
Tis
It's
exactly
how
that.
do we get people back there again? But now, let's talk to Alavine. Let's see what Alavine wants to say. How you doing, Alavine? You're mute. Yay!
Yes.
How are you?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Hi, my
Let's say I'm
lovely.
doing great. Hello, dear. I can
Excellent.
hear that you are good, and I'm good too. I'm happy to be there with you. You know, the topic is quite interesting because it's why had we stopped talking, so reading books to our children?
Mm,
And I think so in my culture, okay, in being an island, I didn't see a lot of parents reading books for their children. And I often hear that sentence, okay. It is the job of the school to teach our kids how to read and how to love books. That is something I really heard, okay, a lot of time. And to, my parents didn't read books to me. However, I was like, every time I saw a book, okay, I remember that. I used to say, oh, I want to read that book. Please, can you buy that for me? So I was this kind of child who wanted to have stories, who wanted to have every kind of books. I was maybe 7. Okay, I remember that. I had a books about biology, about astronomy, about almost everything. And I read them and I was, oh, in Madagascar they do that. Oh, in Africa they do this. Oh, in that place they do that. And I was very curious. So I think we need uh, to spark their curiosity. If you are not curious, you will never try to read. The first step is curiosity. Okay. And secondly, we need to get rid of something we call laziness, because it is hard to just I don't know, to go to your shelf and to see, okay, I have this book, which one will I read tonight? Oh, that one, okay. And reading the book and turning the page, etc. So that is about laziness, is that, and also this desire, like you said, okay, this desire to engage into something we have no clue about, learning new things, or if it is fairy tales, for example, wanting to know what will happen to the persona, to the characters, whatever we want to. So we need to have curiosity, to get rid of laziness. And third, we need to find a way to be sober, because somehow technology, I don't know how, I don't know when, but somehow and somewhere along the way we became addicts, addict, true addict people about technology, because it's easier. You don't need to think a lot, and sometimes you just have to ask the app to read for you, so you just have to listen. So I think there are this point. And we also need to think about the consequences of not reading by yourself, okay? And also the consequences of um, behind your screen all day, okay? So first things, before 3 years old, your brain is not completely good, okay? It's not finished. I forgot the word, okay? And after that, we have our eyes. They need times to be perfect. And when we use screen before 3 years old, we destroy neurons. We stop the process of the brain, okay, the process of creating things, of imagining things by yourself. We stop that. So it is very important for us to put reading first and screen after, in the second time. That's it. And as adults, about screens, the problem is the fact that we feel happier when we have our dose, if I can say, okay. We spend time online, reading books online, or on an app, depending on the situation, okay. And we are like, oh, I feel so happy. And after, when we stop, we feel empty, we feel hollowed out, and we are like, oh, I'm so sad. My life is meaningless, and I don't want to feel that. So I want to go back to that state where I feel good, say this stage, and I'm happy, and I have no caring in the world, etc. So I think we need to see that. And another point is, when we read words, we we make a better connection between the sounds and the way we write the word. Okay, for example, okay, we have the word heart, okay, Heart, but as a native French speaker, okay, I will tell you it is hurt, but no, it is not hurt or hurt. No, it is heart. Okay, so I did that when I started learning English. Okay, I wrote words, okay, down, and I said them aloud. Like that, I got, oh, okay, this word, I write it like that, but I say it like this. So it is also a good way to remember things, to enhance creativity or imagination, and to lead us toward, let's say, this resourcefulness we need to have when we have dangers in front of us. When we have dangers in front of us. That's it.
I agree with everything you said, absolutely every single word. And I think that the point that you make, that is, I've read books, and when I got to the end of the book, and I've been so disappointed because they've left us on a cliffhanger, and you know that the next book's going to be coming out, but you're like, it's not like you can watch a television, series and just flick to the next one. You can't do that when it's a book. The book's finished, and you've got to wait for the next part of that trilogy or whatever it is to come out. And oh my goodness, furious. And then I'll be like consuming it, and I'll eat it in like 3 or 4 days, this book, because I've been waiting for it for so long, and it's, and then it's gone, and then it's like disappointment again because you got to wait for the next one. And I don't.
Let's fallen off the stage again. I don't understand what goes on. Anyway, she's still there. We lost your volume, Paulette. Hopefully it's another call. Professor Roxana, welcome. How are you? It was good to see you. I know it's very early for our American friends. Adeline, they're very early. It's evening for me. It's evening for you too. Whereas in the US, it's still 10 o'clock in the morning. Some even earlier. So 8 o'clock in the morning. Paulette, are you back? No, she's gonna have to restart her LinkedIn page again. Adeline, you made many good points. And all your points were truly nice. You hit the nail on the head. Laziness, amongst other things. I'm keeping Paulette off the stage deliberately so I can waffle on. I'm joking. I'm joking, Paulette. Anyway, I think I'm not calling you babe. I swear, Paulette. We're gonna fall out. I swear. We're gonna. Maybe only if you do a really Jack and Waters tiki-toki dance.
Oh my life! Could you imagine it? Especially my wonky leg. I stand up. I've got a wonky donkey leg as it is. I stand up and it kind of goes that way.
Rickety hips.
Rickety hips, wonky donkey. That would be me. I'd be like, this is a new trend. Annie started it, and I'd be like, no, sorry, that ain't gonna work, babe. But my value might go down. You never know. I might end up not be worth £7,000 a week. It'll be down to £2.50.
It might go up.
I might not be a babe anymore. You never know. But everything Alavine said was so on point. And the word laziness is a word I avoided, and I'm grateful that she used it, because I never want to preach. I sometimes feel like a preacher, and I'm not a preacher, but I'm a great believer that we have so many tools in our belt to make childhood fun, to make childhood happy, to make childhood entertaining, to make childhood much more than a device. Much more than a device.
Yeah.
And I feel so serious about that. And it's really important to me that everybody understands that I'm not telling you off. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm saying give yourself the opportunity to try it. Yeah, try one night a week. I mean, listen, people have even sent children to nursery schools and kindergarten and first schools, primary schools, in their first year at school, a reception, who still aren't toilet trained properly, who still need to have like a piece of muslin cloth, or they have a dummy or some sort of soother. And, you know, they're going, well, that's fine, the school will sort it out. They don't know how to use a knife and fork. They've never seen one, you know, and they eat with their fingers. And suddenly they're faced with all these new rules about using a knife and a fork and, you know, all these things. Now, these are basics that we should be teaching our kids.
Yeah.
I think that reading is kind of almost like a basic, just like we do the toilet training, and we help them with their language skills and speaking, and we help learn that that's a window and that's a door and that's a light and that's a this and that's a the other. I think that reading is all part of that. It's all part of their development. And without starting to get, you know, political and angry and all the rest of it, devices have taken over kids' lives, and for all the wrong reasons. But also, from our point of view, it's been such a blessing. We're like, yes, we don't have to do all this stuff now. The machine does it for them, and it babysits them, it looks after them, and they go to bed early like angels. You've got to be in bed at 7 o'clock. No problem. Off goes the computer with them. Off they're playing Smash till 10 at night, you know, under the covers or whatever. And then got to be up for school in the morning and wonder why they look exhausted and shattered and everything else. You know, I just think that this word boundaries is important. And I don't want to preach again, but I think it's parents have let boundaries slip because they're letting the education come from the device, and then expecting the school to pick up all the slack, all the bits that are missing out of their education, and all the damage that years of watching these damn screens have done to their kids. And then they wonder why their child is being held back. I'm sorry, your child isn't going to pass this year because it can't do the basics, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean my child can't do the basics, you know? And the answer is that it's because they were behind and they couldn't catch up. Not in 1 year. Maybe in 2 years, yes, but not in one. And, you know, people who think that school's job is to toilet train and school's job is to, you know, do the very basics is wrong. When a child, I mean, I know Ben was exceptional, and we didn't know any different. So, you know, Ben could tell the time, 4 years old, which sounds crazy, but you wanted to learn how to tell the time. So with a child like Ben, you teach them how to tell the time. And I bought him a Thomas the Tank Engine clock, and every time it said 2:30, he would go 6 with a big hand, 2 on the little hand. Choo choo! Out came Thomas the Tank Engine, and the fat controller waved his flags, and it was great. So we would have Thomas the Tank Engine for blinking hours, right? Until he came to us and he went, I don't need that anymore. And he was like 4.5. I've got it. And now to tell the time. You can give it to someone else now. I'm like, okay, put it in the donate pile. There was always a box on the floor that was for donating. And he learned that was the thing he did. He donated. And we didn't think anything of it until we were called into nursery, and I got told off that my child was sarcastic. And I'm sorry, my child's sarcastic. He's 4.5 years old. How can he be sarcastic? And she said, I said the children could go in the sandpit at 2:30. And she said, at 2:30, Ben said, can we go in the sandpit? And I said, no, not yet. We've still got all this clearing up to do and this, that, and the other. And he said, but you said we could go in the sandpit at 2:30. And she said, well, it can't be. He said, well, it is, because when the little hand's on the 2 and the big hand's on the 6, it's 2:30. Now, he didn't do the Thomas the Tank Engine sound, which had been even funnier, right? If he'd done the whole, you know, Thomas the Tank Engine tune. But she said that was sarcasm. And I said, it wasn't sarcasm, it's factual. You said one thing, He can tell the time. He was expecting to go in the sandpit at 2:30. It was 2:30. That's a fact. It wasn't him being sarcastic. I don't understand why you've taken it so personally. Well, I don't want to be told by a child what time it is. I said, well, I'm very sorry, but you've got an exceptional child there who can tell the time. And she just wouldn't have it. He was sarcastic. We've brought up a sarcastic child. Now, I will tell you that he was in an English lesson. No, it was a history lesson. And he corrected a teacher's spelling on the board.
Cheek.
And the teacher was not impressed.
The cheek.
And the teacher said, thanks for your input, Ben. Would you like to come and take the rest of the lesson? And sort of gave him the pen. Well, see, now instead of being like normal children, and I say normal, I mean like kids that would go, oh God, the teacher's got the hide under my desk, you know. She handed over the up he got. He thought she was offering him the opportunity to take over the
job.
lesson. So he did. She went and sat down and he carried on. And she said to me, he did a good job. I can't lie. She said, but the point is, she said, did I need correcting? Not really. But you know what? We had a little chat about it and we got to a place where we're both happy. But Ben was different. He was absorbed in books. He loved books. He was before all the Gazmos and the Gidgets came out, really. He was probably the generation, the last generation, really, I think, where books were the best option. And the better flavour. You know, he didn't need sweets or strawberries. It was just it. Let's go. Got a book. You know. Nowadays, the opportunity is that you are up against something that is 3D, colourful, noisy, fun, and interactive, and all the rest of it. So you have to have the books being the same, of the same quality. And that's the part that I think a lot of people are going to struggle with. Jack and, I think it was wasn't Jack and Jill, that's a nursery rhyme. There was a Janet and John. I mean, they were the most boring books on the planet. But I remember reading Janet and John at school. You know, but then when Ben first got his first book, there were no words in it. And he thought they'd given him a book.
There were no words in it?
No. And he came home from school and he was like, Mum, I've got a problem. I was like, what's the matter? I'm thinking he's got a pimple or he's got something that's a big problem. What's the matter? He said, I've got a problem. I go, well, where is it? What is it? He said, no, I haven't got a problem. I've been given a book without words. And I said, oh. He said, where have the words gone? I said, I don't know. I said, perhaps we've got one that's been misprinted. So I put a note in his book bag. Really sorry, we couldn't read his book because there weren't any words. And I got back a letter that said, but the point is most children at this age can't read. And so we start them all off with these books where they just point at things and start making interesting connections between the cat, the dog, and the budgerigar and the whatever. And then gradually we introduce a bit more words and whatever. And I said, well, any chance we can jump all that because he can read? And it was like, oh, well, yeah, he can start on book 1 then. And then we went right the way through the book series in the first reception. And that's just because he loved reading. He got so much pleasure from it. And, to absorb books the way he did, I swear that's why he was so bright. And I tell you what, in a quiz team, I mean, a bit like Levine's learning skills of the English, that's how you spell it, but that's how you say it. Very factual, very detailed. That's how Ben learned. And Ben, if you're on a quiz, here's the kid you want on the team because he doesn't just know the flags. He knows the flag colours. He knows which one's got the lion on it, where the lion is. And I'm looking at him going, how do you know this stuff? You know, how do you know? Because I had a flag book and I remember, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I could read the flag book and I would remember half a dozen, right?
Yes.
He remembers them all. And I mean, and it's been proven time over that, you know, the stuff that comes out. I mean, we were talking yesterday that there was a reenactment thing going on at Kimbolton Castle, and I was saying that we had to make this huge shield, and then all the kids enacted putting the shield over their heads, and when they all walked like a tortoise type thing. But you know, I couldn't think of the life of me what this tortoise word was that they called it when they all put all the shields over them and they all walked together, the Romans. And Charles straight away came in and said, oh, that's a torcedillo or something. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, sounds like tortoise. I knew it was something like tortoise. But, you know, it sounds like it isn't quite the same thing. But it was, I think the word was based on the shell of the tortoise, you know. But these stories are not to sort of boast about what Ben could do, because Ben was autistic and particularly interested in certain things. We had a globe every night. He swung the globe and he put his finger on it, closed his eyes, and when he looked where it was, he couldn't look. He put his finger on it, he saw where it was on the globe, and he could tell me the country, and then he had to give me 3 facts about the country. And he would probably tell me the currency, he'd probably tell me what language they spoke, and he'd probably tell me the flag or the population or something. I don't mean how many kids would be interested in doing that, but that was his thing. We span the globe, you know. It doesn't make your child, giving them tools and giving them the ability to learn doesn't make your child different. Your child was different before you started. What you've done is fed them the need for knowledge. Ben had a thirst for knowledge. Alavine had a thirst for knowledge, which is why when she saw a book, she craved the book. Please, can I have that book about space? Please, can I have that book about the stars, the moons, and the whatevers? Can I please have that book about the weather? Please, can I have the book about the flags? That would be Ben. You know, he just wanted, and it was never a book with Ben about, and this is quite interesting fact, it was never with Ben for a long time. You know, something like this didn't happen till he was about 7 or 8. Up until then, it was 1,000 facts. 1,000 facts about space, 1,000 facts about them, 1,000 facts about animals, 1,000 facts about dinosaurs, 1,000 facts about the sea, you know, 1,000 facts about the weather. It was always 1,000 facts or 500 facts or whatever it was. He was into the facts, not the fiction. And gradually the fiction came with the school books and the interest started to peak. David Walliams was at his peak when we just started, when Ben was reading. So those books became interesting to him. But we did the Gruffalo. We did things like going on the bear hunt, you know. And even now, sometimes, you know, I'll say something like, I can't get through it. Talking about the computer, for example, I say, I can't get through it. I can't get over it. And Ben says, we have to go under it, you know. And it's like, we all laugh because we know we're all talking about the bear hunt, you know, because we did it so many nights on the trot. You know, we were on that flaming bear hunt more times than I care to mention, probably more times than the bear hunters, you know. But that shows you that recognition that as soon as you make that joke, can't go under it, can't go over it, you know, straight away in comes the quip, because it reminds them of that time. That's all I'm asking for, guys. Just give your kids the opportunity to find that moment in time where it reminds them of coziness and cuddles and hugs and sitting on laps or sitting next to you and reading. because it's a beautiful thing.
And the way Alavin explained, I think it's having that curiosity
Oh,
that I want
100%.
our kids to have. But then again, the point is that our kids reflect what we do.
100%. That is
So how curious are we? You know.
ask Google. Google will
I'd
tell you.
rather
Google will
ask
tell you you're
ChatGPT.
quite curious, right? But you know what? You're quite curious about what you're curious about. What we
Mm,
need to do is teach children that they need to be curious about the world. You know,
yeah.
see those clouds up there in the sky. Do you know what they're called? Do you know what they do? Do you know this? Do you know that? You
Mm,
know,
yeah. No.
libraries are a great place to spend
Yeah.
family time.
Ileana.
Absolutely.
We say Ileana, but yeah, it's not like Ileana.
Ileana, you are so right. And unfortunately, in the UK, they're being
They,
closed
they,
down
yeah,
everywhere.
they're mostly closed. I know when I was a kid, like there were libraries everywhere, and after school was straight to the library,
Mhm.
and stay there till whenever, right? Till till they're closed.
Yeah.
Now you struggle to find the library. I mean, the few they've got, they are brand new. They
Yeah.
are, but they're not
And
libraries.
but it's not like it was when we were
No,
kids. It's not like cozy corners. And
no,
nowadays they often sell a coffee shop corner, so you've got like a Starbucks in there. You've got a bit of seating area in there,
the
and
computers.
then eating.
It's
It's
mostly
not like
computers.
no,
The
no.
quiet area that the quiet. Shush, please. This is a library. Those are long gone. It's but then see that's what puts the onus more on parents. So the
It
things that,
does, but then we can't tell parents off when it's got so out of hand. This
we're
is this
we're,
has
we're
taken
encouraging.
over our lives.
Yes.
This technology thing has taken over our lives, and we're now saying we want to put a flag in the ground, one of the Ben's flags in the
Yeah.
ground, and say, right, that's it now. We're going to stop
Let's
this.
turn back time. Turn back time.
Exactly.
We can't put the genie back in the box like we
But we
said a
can
while
say
ago.
one night a week, let's read a book. Let's
Yeah.
start it off with one night a week. One night a week, the device stays on the bed on the sofa, right? You can have it in the morning, but it stays there during the night. It's because it's quiet time. We want to try this, especially kids with ADHD or ADHD or any of the autism spectrum issues. Those children, that quiet time is really important to calm their minds. They do not need screens going blip blop blip blop blip blop all night long. They just don't need it. They need the quiet time to calm their minds down, to allow them to do what you want them to do, which is to go to sleep. Ultimately, to go to sleep with happy thoughts. That's really what
Yeah.
we're hoping for, right?
Peaceful, happy thoughts. No, not what's the next fix. When I swipe, when I swipe, what am I going to see? And that's again, this is a habit I pick up from parents. I've
100%.
got my friends would try, right? I said what I'll say for less is, man, we have to get curious ourselves. We say
We
we have
do.
to be interested.
100%.
Books hold the secrets of life. There's only so much, believe you me, that you're going to gain from reading online. Unless you're reading if you're reading a book online, okay. So I read a good few books online, right? And I have no problem with audiobooks either. But I'm saying, the secrets of the world are in those things called books, whichever format they may be. And we have to want to know the secrets of the world. And when we do, our kids want to, they'll be curious as well. They'll be interested in finding out what they don't know.
They'll find it easier as well because it's a habit. These are good habits. Listening, quiet time, and I call it active listening. And I know that sounds really odd, but it's not like the pretending listening, like men do. It's the actual listening. It's the
Again, I think it's more than reading a book in that sense. In that, when we develop listening skills, we use across
Everything.
across life, full stop. And so if you think about it, really, everything we do, everything that involves other people, whether it's selling, you know, say convincing, negotiating, encouraging, everything we do involves listening.
Yes.
And so, I agree with you. Like, if we don't learn to have that time with our kids, they miss a chance to learn how to really listen properly.
Yes.
But so do we. And again, maybe this is generational trauma, Paulette. No one read to me, so I'm not going to read to my kid. But that's for another conversation, right?
There definitely is that, and there also is that whole thing where even Alavine said, "My parents didn't read to me."
Mm,
You know,
mm,
it's sometimes it's a cultural thing.
yeah.
Sometimes it's not even a gadget thing. It's a cultural thing.
Mm,
But
mm,
but let's just say that if we tried one day a week to start with as a habit, and then the books are that good, especially if you buy Jack and Water. There's a
yeah.
whole trilogy of them available on the Amazon site. If you buy the Jack and Water books, and myself and Charlotte Moorman, so Paula Hallam and Charlotte Moorman wrote them. If you and then he published them, so we really are a threesome of a different kind, but we really are a team.
Mm,
And I think the most important part of this conversation is that if you get a book that is fun, that's entertaining, it's interesting, teaches them something, helps them with emotional intelligence, gives them confidence, helps them know how to handle difficult situations. Your gifts are just the gift that keeps on giving. It's like, well, the old gadget that goes beep, 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 beep doesn't do that. It might help
mm,
you fight a few warriors and whatever, but it doesn't do the things that the book does if put
mm.
to them in a special way.
It's true.
So, on that note, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Are there any more people that we need to say hello to at all?
I'm not sure my restream and LinkedIn are talking. My LinkedIn hasn't moved for a while.
Okay.
Miss Yolanda's here. Miss Yolanda. Yes, the next book off the conveyor belt is Yolanda's book, Intertwine.
Yay!
We worked
Are
out a
we going to have a
conclude.
party?
Yeah, no, yeah, we're gonna have it. We're gonna do what normally the whole book launch thing. We're gonna do. We're also gonna do some fundraising on Kickstarter. Yay!
Ooh,
Because again, as I explained, Paul, like it's marketing the book to a new audience.
definitely. I'm up for it.
So
I
we're
told you
gonna,
before, there's nothing when I've now I've got my new wonky hip.
hmm,
I'm like, okay, let's start. What's the next thing? I'm gonna
yeah.
have another one in 6 weeks' time, so God help me. But maybe 7 weeks if they push it. But
Has this one helped?
yeah,
You feeling
definitely.
better? Okay, I'll take that. Okay, that's all right then. Thank
I
goodness.
slept on my left hand side for the first time in 2 years.
Wow. Oh well, there's hope. There's hope.
I
There's
mean,
hope.
not all night, but for a long
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of
No,
the night.
you slept on
And I've not been able to do that at all.
awesome.
So that's a real win, right? I mean, there are wins to these
Yeah.
things, but there are times when you think, oh, well, I can't cope, but we're getting there. We're
It's been
getting
a
there,
year.
folks.
It's been a year and a half of agony.
Hell,
Is what it feels like, really.
yeah.
Anyway, Miss Alavine, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you as always,
Now,
Alavine.
what do you want to leave us with on this important topic? Anything that you want,
Me or
Alavine?
Alavine? Let Alavine have final
So
because
first
I've got
of
a
all,
summation that I've got written down.
Go for Alavine.
so I'm first of all, I'm grateful to be there with you. It's a real pleasure, a huge
Oh,
one, to be honest. Sharing with you things, listening to you, learning from you as well. The thing I would let here, okay, or I would take is about the fact that we need to find a way to keep reading and to be curious. And you mentioned something quite interesting about the cultural thing. Sometimes it is about our culture, and my culture, Renan Island, we have the tendency to give or to pass down a knowledge through discussion. Okay, through I speak to you, I give you the knowledge by speaking, but not by reading things to you. So I think it could be interesting to think deeper about our culture, and I will try to see how my culture, let's say, has shaped me from the past, and I will try to see how this culture I am in shapes a child I encounter in my life, or I encountered as well. The one I will encounter, but in the past as well, because I think there are quite interesting things we can through this cultural thing. So that's all for me tonight, and we need to find a way to make everything funny when we want to get the interest of children. We need to be funny, to change our voice, etc. I did that, to be honest, when I was working with babies and children. Sometimes I changed my voice. I spoke differently, and they were let's say they were attracting by that. And every time they saw me, they gave me a book. Oh, please read for us. So I remember that when I was working with them. So they loved listening to me, and they were asking for that. They were craving for me reading. They were not able to read at the time. Okay, but I think I gave them this desire to read books because I made it funny. So that's what I have to say. So thank you very much for everything.
No, thank you for coming and thank you for speaking as always. My takeaway, Annie, is this. I've written down here, let's lower the bar. Okay, so instead of me asking you to make it a week, instead of me asking you to tell them they can't have their devices anymore at 7 o'clock, it's bedtime and it's reading time, they'll hate reading time, they'll hate you, there'll be a fight. If you get to the stage where you say, right, we're not going to have a fight every night, but this is what's going to happen. One night a week, I'm going to read you a story and you get to choose the story. Okay. We might even go to the library and get a book, or maybe we'll, go to a shop or go to a charity shop or whatever and buy a book. But let's go and find a book you want to read. And then that shows them that you're giving them some ownership of this. You're not just saying you're going to read the book of my choice. We're going to give them a chance to read the book. So it might be the Bear Hunt, or it might be like the I Love You This, Guess How Much I Love You book. So my point is, if you give them some ownership in that they choose the book, that might help. My little red tractor was Harry's choice. Harry chose that book. He wanted that book. He has a shelf of books because his parents go to book sales, to boot sales, and buy, 20 or 30 books for a quid or whatever it is, and just put them all away until they're age appropriate. And I think that's a great way of doing it, because they've got it's got a little mobile library there already. It's got a bookshelf full. Ben's got all the Thomas the Tank Engine in a box set, but he won't give it to Harry because it was the last thing that he got from his granddad's star in the book. So he won't give it to Harry, but he said one day I'm going to give that to Harry. I said, or maybe your own son, so don't give it away yet. And he was like, okay, can put it in the loft. I was like, yeah, we'll put it in the loft with everything else. But the key point I'm trying to make is do a deal. Let them have engagement. Let them choose. And then make the commitment that one day a week, is reading night, right? And when it's reading night, you stick to it and you make it so engaging and so much fun. They want to do 2 nights. Please, can we do another night, Mum? Well, we only said 1. I'd like to do another one. Well, all right then, if you must, let's do it like that. That's kind of like almost surprise them into enjoying it. And that's me done, Amy. Thank you very much to everybody who came to listen and to learn and to just hear a different perspective.
It's backstage, but it's not backstage. I'm looking at the list of people, Cyrus. There's me, there's Alavine, there's Paulette. There's those Cyrus. Which backstage? I just sent you the links. I don't know which backstage is at all.
Oh dear.
You're not backstage here. I don't know what's happened. Anyway, again, I think, as Alavine said, again, go with what you're saying, Paulette. We have to make the books exciting. We have to bring the books to life. That's our gift. And I'm sure to some that sounds petrifying, but it's not. Do it your way is what I would say, right? So Marsha, yes, so Marsha's here somewhere. Said she was listening, and Yolanda wishes you.
Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you very much.
That's what I'll say. Look, let's end with Jack and Water now. Let's do
it. All right, bye everyone. Thank you very much for coming and watching and listening and whatever.
Yeah, see you again. See you next week. Next week is about mental wellness.
Monday's mental wellness cafe. I haven't decided on a topic yet. I'll work on something. It's probably going to be analgesics.
I don't know. There's a conversation about, we talked about men being and males, masculinity being, a scary thing these days. I think we're gonna do the bit about
the females. Let's do the women because there are equally as many women.
Let's do that because the problem's equally there. So Jagadish, thank you so much for being here. A good day to you too. My friends, look, do check out Jack and Water books, especially if you do have kids in your life, or just for you. Nothing wrong with you just reading Jack and Water books for yourself, right? Here's why. We'll end on this, right? Thank you so much, everyone. We got Lisa's show later tonight. Yeah, Paulette, what was it about?
Oh, well, it's quite a good one, this one. It's about just feeling like you've got no value, useless. You can't do anything. You can't get focused, and you start to feel invisible. And it's about that.
Is this the carers one?
No.
No?
That was last week's.
Damn. Okay, so I really have no clue what
this one is about. There's somebody else coming. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, there's a guest speaker.
But it's really about when you hit menopause or perimenopause, what happens to your mind, and how you feel as if you've almost like found yourself in a different person's body. You have no connection to what's going on. It's quite a big subject, but should be fun.
I'll put a link in the comments if anyone wants to RSVP and join us. You're more than welcome. And we're gonna have a sleep before that anywhere near that, right? Anyway, so look, the link for the Jack and Water books is in the comments. If you are curious, you can buy on Amazon. There's a link. There are 3 books in the series. Check them out. That's what we ask of you. And if you've got kids in your life, then buy the books. Of course, if you've got anyone else who might want the books, schools, libraries, children's charities, all of those, right?
And don't forget, every book that is sold in America, the money goes to Connect Impact Hub. And that's Martha's Charity for Homeless. And in the UK, it goes to the Comfort Cases, which is the cases for the children in care. So it really is a non-for-profit.
Where's Cyrus gone? I put him on stage and he falls off.
I saw the CK came up and then he's gone again.
Cyrus. Cyrus. Yeah, it's now or never. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Damn. Yolanda says my grandson has a book. Which book? A Jack and Water book? Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, Yolanda. Okay, that's cheered me up.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll probably be talking to Yolanda later on as we get through, as we get close to getting her book finished. Anyway, look, my friends, do it and enjoy. Here goes Jack and Water. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stop worrying about worrying. We will keep turning. Doesn't matter what I do. Trying to be open and keep my head up to words not spoken. Makes all the difference to me and you. Me and you. This